Teach your children well. Their father's hell did slowly go by.
Welcome back to my little channel. Today's video is about a topic that a lot of people have already been talking about, but I hope I'm going to give it my own little 2 cents. So yeah, it's very possible that a lot of things you will hear me talk about now have already been mentioned. But there are a few things I haven't heard other people say, so I'm going to do this anyway. So what am I going to talk about? Well, there's a channel on YouTube called The Birds and the BS. And they made a video about how they are very much so against gun control. No, not against gun control. Against guns. Sorry, my bad. And in their no, you know what? I'm not going to tell you yet. This is their video.
When you can't make sense of the world today,
ask Mr. Jordan to show you the way.
On The Birds and the BS.
Yeah, you need to ask someone the way because God forbid you actually think for yourself. No, listen to what you're being told to think.
Aye, and believe, not just think. Oh, and by the way, guys, did you miss me? I'm back.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to The Birds and the BS, where we encourage you to actually take the advice you give your children.
So, is he the bird or the bullshit?
That's a good question. And I wonder what advice he means that you listen to. Advice that you give to your children. I mean, I don't know what advice I will give to my children that I don't follow myself. There is don't eat the yellow cake, or don't jump in front of moving vehicles. But I'm filling in now, aren't I? No, let's see what he brings us.
Today's letter comes from Allie in Alabama. Dear Mr. Jordan, my son is always playing with his gum and spitting it on the floor, so I've made a no gum in the house rule. My daughter says she always uses her gum responsibly, so it's still her right to chew. Should I let my daughter keep her gum?
Now, obviously, I could claim to talk from authority, which would make sense, but at the same time, wouldn't make any sense at all, because if you're a parent, you're a parent. That I'm a professional parent means very little in this case. But indeed, so are you going to punish your daughter for the misbehavior of your son? Because basically that's the whole question. It's not about whether you like the gum or not. It's whether you're going to punish your daughter for the behavior of your son. And worse of it, your daughter recognizes this. Therefore, she basically says, yeah, but why are you going to change the rules for me if he is misbehaving?
Are they serious though? I mean, they want to punish someone because of someone else's misbehaviour. That's like me being told I can't drink anymore because some idiot drove his car into a wall somewhere drunk. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, this is one of the reasons why in modern civilizations we tend to punish the ones that commit the crime and not the people who were in the vicinity of the crime. I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Oh, well, yeah, no, there was a murder in this and this city. Therefore, all citizens are murderers. This is not how justice works. And apparently your daughter realizes this. But that you as a mother do not realize this is somewhat worrying. But the real worrying part is what he's going to say next.
Allie, let me use an analogy to help with this one. Imagine for a moment that I am surrounded by people who play with their gun. With these people spitting bullets all over, would my mother still let me keep my gun?
See, this is the thing. When you're a parent, you learn to realize real fast that as soon as your kid asks you, can I go do blah blah blah, and blah 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 can be whatever, and then you as a parent think this is a bad idea, so you say no, you just know your kid is going to come back with, yeah, but the parents of other kids allow their kids to do this. And then you tell your kids, well, I'm not their parent, I'm your parent. Funny enough, apparently your mother did not allow you to do things because other people did something bad. They are not your mother's kid, or at least I assume they're not. So why would she punish you?
Aye, can you believe the smug on his face? My mum would give me an earful if I had a face like that. Even though I can understand him. It's not that it's a problem that you have a gun. It's that you have to believe that it's a problem that anyone can have a gun. Because if anyone can have a gun, everyone has a gun. But if we can pretend that no one has a gun, only the people we want to have guns, and the rest of them don't.
Yeah, there's that. It's kind of weird though, because we know that if you take guns away from law-abiding citizens, the officials, like the police and the army and the government, will have guns. But we also know that criminals will have guns. So taking away from law-abiding citizens will only hurt law-abiding citizens. It will not do anything for crime. But anyway, let's continue.
Here to answer that question is my favorite mother from live musicals on TV, Anna Gasteyer.
Thank you for having me, Jordan. Sit up straight. You look like Shigeru Quasimodo.
How brilliant is this? He invites her, well, a cartoon version of her, and she basically already berates him for not sitting correctly. It's not about control though, isn't it? No, it's not about control. Mind you, I have no idea what it's about then, but...
If I were using my gun the right way, but others weren't, would you still let me keep mine?
Okay, she's going to answer. I'm not going to tell you what she answers, but here's the thing. There is no right or wrong way to use something. Well, there is in a metaphorical way of speaking, but in this case, it's not about right or wrong. It's about legal or illegal. So, if you use your gun in a legal way, what right does your mother have to tell you that you need to listen to her and not the law? And even more so, what right does she have to say this to people who are not her child?
Of course not.
But I didn't do anything wrong.
Ah, and there you have it. It's not about whether you do right or wrong. It's whether your mum thinks it's right or wrong. Even you are like, well, but I didn't do anything bad, so why do I need to hand in me gun? There you have it, mate. There you have it. It's justice or injustice. And your mother is all about the latter. So I can understand why you're upset with that.
It's a fair point you make. This was not your mistake. I'm a law-abiding son. Why take away my gun? As a mother in charge of your fun, the acts of another can ruin it for everyone.
That's because, as you always say,
This is why we can't have knives, assault weapons, or you know what, guns of any kind. When it comes to our kids, it's time for us to step in instead of think and pray for peace of mind. Governments and sacrifices sometimes should be made in the name of the greater good. Someone came to Tylenol, they fixed the flaw. There was one shoe bar, and they changed the law. And when guns kill kids, that's the final.
Second Amendment.
Ah, that's exactly what they always do. They shoot us down by invoking the Second Amendment. Don't they understand how much there is to lose? There are lives at stake, and don't forget whose. Nothing's more important than the safety of a child. So time to take your gun, and the rhetoric is stockpile.
Yeah, I know. I sped up the song because fuck him. But the real problem is this. She mentions a few things that were bad and the laws got changed. How many people do you know walking around barefooted because shoes got outlawed? Well, bombs were already against the law, so they didn't change the law against that. The Tylenol thing is a good story as well. Someone abuses the system tries to prevent that from happening. They're not saying no one can use Tylenol, by the way. They're saying there are laws about this. But yeah, she gets shut down because then people start mentioning the Second Amendment. Funny enough, the Second Amendment is there to protect citizens against a tyrannical government. So basically, the Second Amendment was made to protect the citizens of America from the American government. Now this sounds all very heavily rhetorical, etc., etc., etc. I mean, let's be honest, if the American army were to fight the American civilians, in the end, the American civilians would probably lose. But at the same time, they would kill a lot of soldiers. Not that it will ever happen, let's be honest. But that's why the Second Amendment is so important. It is to protect everything that's in the Constitution, including your First Amendment. But hey, that's the thing. Every country in the past where they removed guns, not soon after, had an episode, let's call it an episode, of extreme authoritarianism. The left seems to want to push this on America too. But the funny thing is, if we look at if we look at cities in America that have high gun control laws, we notice that these are also the cities with the highest gun crime. So why do you want to punish law-abiding citizens for the actions of criminals? That never made sense to me, and it still doesn't. Look at, even at the last shooting. No, the second to last, because in the last shooting, the shooter was actually stopped by someone with a gun. But let's take the Parkland shooting. The cops were standing outside doing, well, very little indeed, and the shooter could rampage throughout the school because no one could stop him. This is what we see happening in places with strict gun laws. Criminals can act as criminals because there is no one to stop them. Well, that's not true. The police is there. Yeah, but as we saw at the Parkland incident, the police didn't show up because they didn't, well, I don't want to say they didn't care. Maybe there were another reason. I don't know. Not all cops would have stood down. Actually, there is a story about 2 cops who got reprimanded because they didn't stood down. But yeah, if you ask for it, I will look it up again. Anyway, I'm already starting my rant here. This is pissing me off. You want guns to be taken away from law-abiding citizens because there are criminals out there. And the only one who will actually be helped by this are the criminals. Because a criminal won't give up his gun because he's a criminal. He knows that using the gun to kill people is not allowed, is bad. But he's going to do it anyway. So guess what? Your gun restriction will not affect him. Look at your country, look at your neighboring country, Mexico. Very strict gun control laws. Very, very strict. But, yeah, we see what it does, don't we? I mean, people there don't seem to care about their gun control laws. Well, citizens, law-abiding citizens may. But how many criminals have guns in Mexico? It's a rather large number. Anyway, I'm already ranting. For fuck's sake. You know what? Yeah.
Aw, just relax, mate. The video ain't over yet. The worst is probably yet to come. I mean, they complain about people saying it's the Second Amendment and therefore we have the right. And somehow, having rights is a problem to these people. How authoritarian can you get? But it's funny, because they're hanging themselves and they don't even recognize what they're doing. It's kind of funny that a lot of people seem to be blind to this. But they talk about how they want to protect their children. How are you going to protect your children if some people have guns and they want to harm your children and you do not have guns? See, I would say keeping your guns is the best way to protect your children, but teach them how to deal with guns. And if we look at the Parkland shooting, this was a guy who was, well, how do we say this? Bullied at school once again? Mental disabilities? Mental disorders? Whatever? How is this a law-abiding citizen? And why didn't people help him when he was getting bullied? Because those two things are way more important than the fact that he had guns. Well, yeah, the guns made him able to kill people, but he wouldn't have done that if the other two things were addressed. Let's continue to listen to what they got to say, though.
Whoa, that's pretty radical. Most of us are against assault weapons, but even we liberals can't go after the Second Amendment itself.
Why not?
You know, this is pissing me off. Assault rifles, assault weapons. Do you even know what you're talking about? What is an assault rifle? What is an assault weapon? And in all fairness, yes, you can go against the Second Amendment. You shouldn't. There's a reason why you shouldn't. The Second Amendment is the only thing protecting American citizens from authoritarianism of the state. But somehow left is always willing to go there. And it's weird that left people don't recognize this. And the worst part is, I considered myself left till a few years ago. Now, I probably am centrist. I still hold true to some of the things I believed back then, but I no longer am left. Because I recognize that authoritarianism is a problem. Helping people is not a problem. Forcing people to help people is a problem.
Aye, I guess it's not a problem that this is coming mostly from the Democratic Party. After all, they were the American slavery party, even though a lot of people seem to think it was the Republicans. I wonder how they did that trick, though. How did they change people's minds like that? But yeah, forcing people to do the bidding of the Democratic Party is pretty much what the Democratic Party has been about, as long as it has existed. Strange how people have forgotten that.
I still can't get over this whole assault rifle thing. Assault is an action, not an item. Why can't these idiots recognize this? It's beyond stupidity. It's as if they know English, but they don't know English.
I mean, we just don't. It's always, look, we're not saying we're coming for your guns.
Actually, now we are.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm going to stop here. This is too stupid for words. Yes, they are trying to get your guns because they feel they now have a way to do it. They are backed by a political party that always was in favor of slavery, so the slavery of its citizens doesn't really mean anything negative towards them, because they know that they will still be allowed to have guns and they will have protection of people with guns. It's just the average person that will not. People like you, for fuck's sake, you're signing away your own life. And you know, the thing about that statistics, yes, it's true. But look at where those people are getting killed. And out of the roughly 30,000 people a year that get killed by guns in America, half of them are suicides. You really think that taking away a gun will prevent a suicide? I've got news for you. There are many a way to commit suicide, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to, well, it's bullshit to say I give people ideas, but there are many ways. There's hanging, there's poison. Hell, you can even eat toilet paper and it will shred your body from the inside out. It's extremely excruciating. But how do I know this? Because this still happens in prisons when people are on suicide watch, because they are still allowed to have toilet paper. For fuck's sake, who am I talking to? They're not listening. They're never listening. They're merely telling us what they demand of the rest of the world. And if we then give arguments why it's a bad idea, it's just, no, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a yada 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 blah blah blah. Okay, I've got news for you. You are a realophobe. You are totally realophobic. Reality has absolutely no grip on you. Anyway, I'm done with it. If you want to finish this one up, you can, but fucker.
Yeah, but can't we make some more fun of him? I mean, oi, where are you going? Oh, well, all right. Well, I guess it's up to me to finish this one then. I've never seen him leave like that before, though. Okay, here goes just me. Hi there, people. Welcome to my show now. Then again, not sure why I'm that happy, to be honest. I mean, they are really, really rancidly stupid, aren't they?
This is why we can't have compromise. I understand you think that hunting's neat, but sometimes our pastimes jeopardize our lives, which matter more than your precious skeet. I understand you really have a fault. Then one lone wolf went and ruined it all. And by one, I mean 96 deaths a day.
And this is how unfair and unrealistic these realophobes are. They're basically lying to you and hoping you won't figure it out. Well, the 96 storyline of people dying from guns, I'm going to grant you that. It may very well be true. I think it would be a little bit less. It could be a little bit more. It may very well be true. But most of them are suicides. You can't prevent suicide by taking away a gun. For bloody hell's sake. Well, yeah, you could say they can't commit suicide by gun then, but they will still commit suicide. And another large part of that gun violence is gang-related. So out of the, let's say, 14 to 15,000 murders every year, roughly 2/3 is gang-related. So that only leaves about 5,000 gun murders a year in America, which is a problem, don't get me wrong, one is too many. But how is that a huge problem? 5,000 people in a country of what, 50 million, 60 million now? I don't know. I'm not even going to look it up. It's nothing. There are more guns, there are more murders in knife-controlled areas in Europe. Hell, London had more knife deaths, more knife homicides than New York had. And I'm sorry, they didn't have more knife homicides than New York had knife homicides. They had more homicides than New York had homicides, even though in New York there are guns. See, the gun is not the issue. People killing people is the issue. So why are you moving the goalpost? This is... Well, I agree with Mudwayne on this. This is really stupid. You are being really stupid.
So even though there are a lot of people who use guns responsibly, the fun we get to have with them isn't worth the destruction they cause?
Exactly.
This is the funny thing, though. I mean, you're not allowed to have guns because a bunch of people get killed by guns. So you're not allowed to have drugs because a bunch of people die by drugs. Well, drugs are already illegal. Yeah, fair enough. But still more people die of drugs overdoses than they die of guns. So are we then allowed to have alcohol? I mean, way more people die because of alcohol than because of guns. And if that's, you know, maybe not the real thing, are we now going to ban surgeons and doctors? Because more people die of medical errors than they do of gun violence. Does that happen? Are we going to close down McDonald's? I mean, more people die of obesity than of guns. I'm not even going to go in the direction of tobacco. Obviously, way more people die of tobacco. I mean, there's almost 90,000 people dead this year, just this year, because of tobacco. Not even close to that with guns. Or are we going to go and say, like, you know what? Let's ban abortions. Because so far this year is on about, let's say, 10,000 gun deaths. It's probably less than that, but let's pretend that gun violence killed 10,000 people whilst I was making this video. Oh no, not whilst I was making this video. Up until to the point where I made this video. Well, but abortions are nearly at 300,000. So are we now going to ban abortions? Yeah, but abortion isn't killing people because they're just fetuses. Yeah, that's your definition of life. But funny enough, it's your definition when it comes to gun control. Therefore, we need to do what you want. And it's your definition when it comes to abortion. Therefore, we need to do what you want. Have you any idea what it means to live in a democracy? Have you any idea that this might just mean that people may not agree with you and you're not to force them? Of course you don't know that. You're authoritarian bastards, you are. You just want people to do as you demand of them. Reality be damned. As Mudwayne said, you're realophobes. Oh, it's a good word. I'm going to make use of that word. You're realophobes. Reality means nothing to you bastards.
You know, there's a lot of things we do that with.
Like lawn darts,
Uh-huh.
Sudafed, and adopted animals are harder to get than a gun because of the actions of a few.
That's just realophobic speech. None of that is true. You're filling everyone's head with lies because you want them to become as realophobic as you are.
Exactly.
But what about safety? And guns for protection?
Allow me to issue a logic correction. A gun beneath your pillow makes you feel secure. Till you think your granny's a burglar, then it loses its allure. They say a good guy with a gun could stop a bad guy with a gun.
But neither has to die if neither one has one.
It's hard to believe how realophobic these guys are. I mean, the CDC has said that from 500,000 up to 3 million incidents a year are being prevented because of legal gun ownership. That's way more than all of the gun crime combined. There is more gun crime being prevented by people owning guns than caused by people owning guns. But the worst part is that if you make guns illegal, it will not stop the criminals. So if you have an example of a bad guy with a gun and a police officer with a gun, and suddenly the police officer only has a kitty, trust me, that bad guy will still have a gun. That's what they do. I understand Mudwayne too, though. The realophobic guys, I mean, they have a narrative and they push it and push it and push it and push it. But it's not even close to reality. It's not even... I mean, how high on drugs do you have to be to believe the fact that if you take away guns of law-abiding citizens, criminals will follow suit? Come off it.
I only wonder how these men will find their sense of self-worth and masculinity without their pew-pew.
Who you are as a man isn't found in your gun, and who we are as a country should be safe for everyone. Australians stayed butch after their overhaul.
So if you're a macho prick, you can stay one after all. Take us home!
This is why we can't have Rambo teachers.
This is why we can't have dummy leaders. This is why we can't have not nice things. And when the government needs to be overthrown, get your ass out and vote, cause we can't do this alone.
That's all for today, folks. Allie, tell your daughter she can play with her bazooka gum all she wants, as long as she joins the March for Our Lives. And join us next time when we'll send our thoughts and prayers that Marco Rubio wakes up to find his balls between his legs instead of his gun. Till then...
And obviously this had to be a dig against men, because no women out there own any guns nor like to shoot them, obviously. Parade with them or whatnot. No, it's just the men. And they wonder why men are failing the way they are. I mean, even their mothers talk down to them like this. It's rather infuriating. But then again, all of what they are saying is infuriating in a very direct way. But the worst part of it is that, in the end, basically he tells the little girl that she should be able to play with her bazooka gun. But this whole video started about a mother not allowing her to have her gun because her brother misbehaves of it. And for that, they started the analogy that people have to hand in their guns because there are people misusing their guns. But at the end of the story, the girl should be allowed to play with her gum. But doesn't that then also mean that law-abiding citizens should be allowed to play with their guns because they should not be punished by people who break the law? So you're contradicting yourself, and you haven't even got a faintest clue about this. This is how realophobic you guys are. You are really stupid. It's amazing that you can make this mistake. Your whole analogy falls because of that little thing. Go on, little girl. Your brother isn't allowed to play with chewing gum, but you sure are. Anyway, this truly is the end. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a bit long. I remember that I used to talk a lot, and Mortwain's good at talking a lot too, but then again, he left earlier because he had way done enough. But like, share, and subscribe, and criticism is always welcome. So if you have anything to say, let me know. See you all next time.